Welcome everyone, it's Blender today. Oh, sorry if I clapped in your head and you're using headphones. Welcome to Blender Today Live. It's 9 p.m. here in Amsterdam, and here we're together in this weekly gathering meeting to see what's new in Blender as of today, 23rd of July. Long has gone the code quest, even though I'm wearing some gear from it that I think it was a nerf for sale. It was actually, or is it? I don't know. But it's so cool. We also have the stickers, and there is the rocket. Where's my rocket? Is of course it's here. I have it right here. So we all missed the code quest, but a lot has happened since. And I'm gonna lose one of these rockets that is priceless right now because we're never gonna make them again. Of course, it will be a new one. A new like a memento for the next code quest. But for now, the focus is on getting actual Blender into beta, right? But there's many like the speed of the development is still there. Of course, there's so many things to fix. It's summer, so yes, people take times off. And there is also not all the developers together, so the speed of the development is back to where it was before. So with that said, the beta for like in 2 weeks, it's kind of very ambitious. So what is a beta? Beta means that everything would be finished, everything would be like implemented, and then it's only bug fixing. But there are still many topics that need more tweaking, that need more fixing, like the like things with multi-resolution, with the soft surf, with like many things that are still missing in order to get into that really good beta level to show the world. So with that in mind, there might be a slight delay. So instead of being the 12th of August, the release of the beta with the open of the bug tracker and everything, there might be like a of course work will continue, it will be the same as awesome, but not just with the name beta, because that means like the expectations could be too high, right? So with with that in mind, it's better to keep it a bit more humble. So there might be maybe Alpha 2, Alpha 3, Alpha 4. You know, you can download Blender every day, and if you download Blender every day, it's gonna just be as good. So yeah, with that said, this is, by the way, a snippet from the developer meeting news that happened today. And I'm gonna fix the chat. There you go. So this is a snippet from the developers meeting that happened today, just a few hours ago. It's that in these developer meetings happen every week and every Monday from 10 a.m. or 6 p.m. depends on the week. Yeah, it's one or the other week, so more people from all over the world can get together. So yes, the first question is like, what happens to the Pillbot? So Pillbot, well, today the Pillbot was down, but that was a separate issue. The build for Mac is stuck since a few days. There has been a few reasons. Basically, the computer that runs these builds for Mac, they're built at the Blender Institute at work, at the office. And the computer got changed, so from the previous one to the new one. And in order to get that to compile again, there were a few issues. Then yeah, things got a bit more complicated, but we're working on it. So it's not your fault, it's not Mac's, your Mac OS. It's not the Blender will stop working for Mac or anything. It's just that it, the Pillbot itself machine got replaced, and there's a new CUDA version, and yes. Anyway, let's continue. So the Pillbots should be there. Yes, everything is there. And one of the great things that was added recently was a whole new shader for Cycles. Yes, Cycles is getting all the fun stuff right now. There is also new things for Eevee, but for the time being, there's also new things for the not old, but the late Workbench engine. So the Workbench engine got also renamed. There is a few things that changed name in Blender 2.8. So wait, let me see where I'm. Okay, I just want to check that I have the right build, because yes, in the last live stream I was doing a demo, and then suddenly I realized that I was using the Grease Pencil branch, which I'm going to show maybe in a bit. But basically just to go quickly through it, just in case you open Blender and you're looking for like, hey, where is my workbench? Well, it's not called Workbench anymore, it's called OpenGL. This name is also not the most accurate, because what happens if one day, you know, switch to Vulkan or something else? Yes, it should be something else. It should be like maybe preview, or like, it's like a play blast, that word, but yeah. Anyway, the name of the engine is a list of your problems. So why was it added here? It's because the Workbench didn't have really anything. All the settings, it was completely empty. So right now, OpenGL render means that you can render exactly this view however you want it, but you can use the same settings that you have in the Workbench engine. So for example, if you want to always do like a very nice Madcap render, you don't have to set up your scene as a Madcap and then change it to Madcap and then render. You can just go switch your render engine to OpenGL and then just set my color to be a Madcap. So you just make it a Madcap, you choose a Madcap that you want, and then you can just set your settings here once, and when you press F12, it's going to render with those settings. So it's basically, you can run your own, it's like rendering like a play blast, but using these settings. In the preferences here in the window itself, you can also render, like you can still render the OpenGL render from that view. This is something that in the previous live stream somebody was asking, like if it was possible to render the view itself. Yes, you can, but you have to go from the view menu, OpenGL render, and this is how you render your view basically. I see the color of the grid is different. It's not really one-on-one. Interesting. I wonder what that is. Need to report the bug, but no time for reporting bugs at the moment. I see people asking questions. Yes, if you know the drill, if you have been here before, this is how it works. So I show a bit of what's new in Blender today, and then in the second half I just reply to questions that are tagged as at Blender today. So they show up in orange in the chat I'm watching. We're streaming this both in YouTube and on Twitch, but I'm reading the questions from YouTube because it's easier just to follow one at a time. I try to use those that combine the chat, but you can scroll. It's not really the most polished. I need to find a new one, a good one. If you know of one, let me know. So that is it for the OpenGL render engine. Yes, there's a new manipulator. It's being worked on. There's a few problems with like visibility. You can't really tell, but there is a very nice discussion going on in the developer, the dev talk forum. So if you look at the viewport axis visuals, there is a very nice proposal from Nathanima1, and it has a few options. There is one that I really like. For example, it took the exact same concept, but it just took the axis out and made the balls a little bit smaller, and then added back the line to the previous axis, to the negative axis. And there has been a lot of back and forth lately, especially today. There's been a few designs that what to change, what could be changed. Maybe the axis should be colored, should have the same color as the axis, so that way you can identify it better. Maybe the opposite could have the minus, like when you are on the other side, it should show like minus X, just to tell a bit more apart. But yes, so nice to see people involved and making such nice concepts. Like, look at this, very nice, very cute. And I know there has been even more discussions about different shapes and very nice examples and references. even ideas on how to rotate the view depending on the point of view that you are. So very nice. Very nice place. This is exactly what the user feedback should be about. You just take something that exists and then you iterate on it and make mockups, and we all improve it. So what is next? Today, by the way, I'm going through like this today at the office. I went through some of the workspaces. I gave some feedback on some of the workspaces that were provided. So for example, I went through one of them, the scripts one. Here, this one. So for scripting, I just took one that was already designed by Sivas 3D and I forgot the name, AFWS. And I just flip a few editors. I move, for example, the editor that was provided there, the screenshot that was provided, it had this column with the properties and everything to the left, and I flipped it to the right because that way it's a bit more consistent with the rest of the other workspaces. But there are very nice examples actually. I like this one. I like the approach. It says it takes a bit of inspiration from Fusion or DaVinci Resolve, and it explains the add-ons that are used. So it's a very nice example of how this could be implemented. And there are some very nice ideas. So I'm going to continue going through this week, and ideally by the end of the week we should have at least a basic list of the workspaces. But there's so many that if you can please go and vote the ones that you like the most, that would help a lot. Like for example, this one has 13. So that way I can quickly see the ones that are more have more attention. And of course, that is it's not that I'm gonna pick the best with the more numbers and just choose that. Of course, there will be a selection. There will be maybe try to unify things. And also, if somebody posts a workspace today, if it's not gonna get 20 likes overnight, right? So it's not fair. So of course there will be a selection going on. But I think the way I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna edit this post and I'm gonna put the candidates for each one of the predefined workspaces, like modeling, and then the candidates that I think, and then at the end maybe I put I make up the workspace and then I show it before actually implementing it in Blender, right? So that will happen this week, and William Raynish is going to do the same, but for the Madcaps. So here, call from content Madcaps. So the Madcaps, there are many that are very close, very similar. So not all of them are going to be chosen. Of course, there will be a selection because some of them repeat themselves. Some of them have very specific cases. Some of them look nice, but in practice, maybe they're not the most useful thing. So there will be a selection in there. But to the topic of the week, to the clickbait of this title, but it's not really clickbait. It is true. Like the hair shader, this new node that appeared in Blender 2.8 and Blender Master, and some people are confused. What is Blender Master? Blender Master is a development, is how Blender before becoming 2.8, how Blender was and is being developed. So the things that, so 2.8 is about changing the interface, for example, but cycles is the same in 2.8 and in 2. And Master, the development branch before 2.8. So there's no point on making changes only in 2.8 if Master will also have it, for example. I mean, cycles also now has to know about view layers instead of layers and collections and stuff, but it's very abstract, so there's no point on mixing it. For example, things for Eevee, well, they make sense that they're in 2.8, but things like a new node for cycles, for hair, that change was ported to both Master, which is the one that says official when you download it from the Pillbot, and to 2.8, so it's on both. This one that says official is Master. It looks very close to 2.79, but it's not 2.79. Remember that. If you save something with Master, you shouldn't go and save it with 2.79 official and then back and forth. Don't do that kind of stuff. Just stick with one, and it's things are gonna be fine. So what is this thing? It's a new node, and it's the simplest thing ever. So let's see it. I'm just gonna make a quick particle system, and that's it. So the node works for now only with cycles. So the node, you can find it when you're in cycles. You render. I'm rendering hair here, so I'm gonna change the render settings for geometry, hair, and that looks good. Ribbons, line segments, and I'm gonna make it, no, I think that should be fine. So basically when you choose this new shader, you are adding a material just like it was before, but instead of being principal BSDF, which is the default for surfaces like metal or wood or skin, then you can choose this now fully dedicated principal hair BSDF, which is just like magic. You connect it to the surface. Maybe I should choose a model that already has some hair shape, that already has like a thicker mesh. Yes, it's not as fast as my computer at the institute, that's for sure. So okay, let's try to make it, to add a light and make my light brighter, or I was just gonna get Kodo and that's it. So I think I'm just gonna get Kodo, because I was testing it for this demo and it just works. So basically this, gonna take Kodo, my good old friend. I keep pressing F1 to open files. This is the minimal key map playing against me. So let's go to Kodo, Caminandes. I'm gonna take Caminandes from, oh, let's hope it works, because I tested it. Yes, I know you have a big car. I tested, let's see, open Kodo, please don't crash. Okay, I might have been in a bit of a situation right here, because my Kodo, the one that I was testing it before, it's not the same that I have here. So yeah, Blender 2.8 still crashes when trying to opening some of the some of the files. So I will just go ahead and try something else. I should try another character. I'm in a bit of a situation right now, but let's go to 2.8 and let's download a file already from 2.8, but they don't have hair. That's the problem. And do I have, again, Exclude? No. All right. I will not make a demo of Caminandes, unfortunately. I will, because it crashes. So I'm gonna just make a little plane with less hair. And any news about the new Cycles 2017 demo reel? No. Those things usually take so much time to set up. Let's see, 50 hairs, much shorter, advanced, and let's enable cycles, and let's make the hair thicker and add children. That's why it wasn't too fast before. So let's display some 50. So the cool thing about this shader is that it's so fast compared to the previous one. I was doing my tests with Kodo, with the character from Caminandes, which I had to I had to reduce the number of particles in the past because it was just so slow to render, because each particle had of transparency, and when you have too many overlapping, it wasn't the best. So okay, I'm just realizing how my computer doesn't like to render cycles while I'm doing stuff. I hope the computer doesn't die. I need it for work. Otherwise, I'm gonna just give up and go to the documentation. So, but this is so cool though. I just want to try it. Shift F3, those shortcuts are still working. And we're just gonna replace the principal VSDF with the new principal hair VSDF. So basically the principal hair VSDF is very simple. It has one color slider when you're using the direct coloring type. So you can just choose one color or plug in a texture, for example. That's fast to do. But if you want to have like more realistic hair, it's better to just go with the melanin concentration model, and then the more melanin you have is the darker it's gonna be your hair is going to be, and the less you have is gonna be like more of a like if you have an animal or with white hair like a little rat or basically anything. Let's see if this doesn't crash. It's gonna make it a bit more thick, the hair, geometry, hair, yeah, ribbons, because I want to have nice shape, and the hair shape here, it's gonna make it more thick. It's a thick boy. And then the children, I want to clamp them, clump. So there you go. So this is more like Koro's hair when you make it like this. Yeah, my computer is not really liking my at the moment. So let's go to the best place on earth, the documentation. Ta-da! This is a node that already has nice documentation provided by the developers, so it's freaking awesome. It explains all the settings that I already tried and failed to explain here, and also it has pictures. Yes, like as in, well, of course it also has this weird stuff, but it's a very accurate a bit, and it has nice colors, so you can see what the numbers do without trying it yourself or without having to buy an encyclopedia. So that way you can just see, for example, melanin 0 is complete white, so for all the people, albino or kind of animals, you add a little bit more and then you get this nice blonde hair. And the more you add, the darker the hair gets. And I didn't know actually, but I was chatting with Brecht. Like when I made this video for the developers channel, I had no idea about it. So I asked Brecht, and he gave me a nice little step-by-step of it that I explained in the video. But he was saying like, yeah, because the less melanin that you have, the more he has to compute, the rays go in and out. So it's actually slower. So blonde hair is slightly slower to render than regular dark hair. So that's very interesting. Then there is a redness value that adds a little bit tint of red to the overall hair. And then you have the roughness. So basically less rough is like a more harsh reflection of the hair, like a specular. And the more you go, it's more like an animal hair. It's like a more rough, more diffuse, or more dirty even in a way. But dirty as in like he has dust, is more rough. And then there's the radial roughness, which is also kind of strange. I don't know exactly what it does, but it's like by the looks, it seems to make the specular a bit brighter. And the coat is like an extra layer on top of that. It's like if you want to make wax or wet hair, for example, you would use that. And there is a random color to add a bit of variation. And I did a few tests in my Twitter. I published it. And on Instagram, but I think I can't see my own Instagram from here. Yes, this guy. So I made my own test here with the Koro. And I basically, to make this, I took, too bad I can't really show it, Maybe I can import, append. Oh, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can append the whole scene. Let's try. I mean, this is Blender today. I crash stuff here all the time, so maybe I can just bring the scene and something happened. Choro scene, and it didn't crash. So this is what you do. Okay, no, this is not what you do. Okay, Choro is somewhere else, but it must be, and it's in cycle, so it just needs to enable the where's the mesh? Why can't I select the mesh? It's so interesting, so embarrassing as well. So Choro mesh body, and I can't select it. Because it's linked, because it thinks that it's linked. Yes. All right, I will do my last try attempt, and I will open the file that said Eevee there. I hate this little thing on the side. We should get rid of it. Where should we put these things? Should we make another side bar on the side like this? Open Blender file, like files for importing and exporting. It's terrible that it's there, because sometimes you can get it hidden, sometimes it's not big enough. So we need to do something with it. We should just put it up here next to the system, like on top of the system, always first maybe, so we'll always see the settings. Maybe, or on the side. Anyway, little rant aside is, let's go to Choro Eevee. Didn't crash. This is me trying, this is young Pablo trying to make it work in Eevee. So this is Eevee, and I was trying the hair to work, but it was so long ago. It's already broken. But it was kind of working actually. Yes. So this is the node setup before. This is before. Then this is like, oh, Eevee must be awesome. I just use principal VSDF, and then I now the next step is to add the principal hair VSDF, which it doesn't work on Eevee yet, because it relies a lot on like actual ray tracing, right? So it's not ideal. Oh, there you go. Okay, we're getting somewhere. But I better start asking questions. I mean, what do you guys think? And then I will go, because I'm not even changing the right material. The material that I have to change is Choro hair, and the Choro hair needs to have, look at this mess. This used to be the hair, and now I'm gonna cut everything and add one little boy. I'm gonna make a melanin concentration. I'm gonna make it white and just see how it looks. And it should be magic. In the meantime, I'm gonna start reading the questions all the way up. Let me scroll, please. Yes. So where was that I was reading? I was reading somewhere, and the light got very dark. Because okay, I'm not even gonna try this. I'm using my laptop, by the way. It's and I'm also streaming, and my laptop is it's an i7, but it's quite oldish. So no, not oldish, but it struggles when I'm trying to do too many things at the same time. So let's continue here. This is where I say hi, and the questions. It's so nice to have everyone saying hi in their own language. So will the repeat per object viewport display options like object X-ray implemented? Yes, there will be. Yes, that just needs to be added. So what can you say about themes? Will the current list of themes in Blender 2.8, so what you're referring to, just to have a bit of context, is the theme list here. Will the current list of themes in Blender 2.8 be part of 2.8 candidate? No, it won't be. Will the white sky be there? What's white sky? What is white sky? This one. Oof. That's a strong style. So the answer is no. All of this won't be here because the main reason is because the themes that you see here are themes that are not officially in Blender. Not even when you download like the official release, things get downloaded. The things that you get are in master. They're in master branch. But when you download Blender from the builder, it also gets the contributions from the community. So it's a mix. There are add-ons and themes that are first in the contribution stage, where they get tested and everything, and then if they're good enough, or if they get maintained and they're like supported, then they become part of the master release. But Blender already has way too many themes. There are a few things, yeah. The ones that are twice is because I've been playing with them basically. But the list will be much shorter and the list will be cleaned up. There are a few, well, actually most of them, they are not even maintained. And like I am the maintainer of 3 of them. Amaranth, which is not even in the official release, it's only in Contrib, for example. That's one of the examples that is not in the official release. And I also maintain Flatty Light and Flatty Dark. And I also maintain Flatty Dark Blueberry, which is this changed, which is not yet in Blender 2.8, and I don't know if it was going to be in the official one, but that's one example. For example, will the background images be re-added to Blender 2.8? No, the background images are now empties, but before you start hating, there will be work done to make this work, like to, for example, have all the advantages that the other ones have, like X-ray, so you can see through, or the fact that it would only display when you're in ortho mode or not in view mode. So this, for the time being, of course, things can change, but in the developer.blender.org, this is the slowest search on earth, by the way, but is it GL or it was, I don't remember the name of the thread exactly, but basically there is a to-dos list for to make the empty images work. Here, empty background images to-dos. So basically to only display in ortho view, to have single-sided display to only show on one side, and yeah, basically it will bring it back to speed to where the previous option was. Will we see new nodes in Blender for more procedural workflow? Well, with everything nodes, yes. If I want to deselect all, I have to press Alt-A now. Before this change, select and all and deselect all was toggled with shortcut A. In my opinion, it was much more comfortable before. Yes, for me, actually, it's been, I have to still get used to the new Alt-A. I've been using it more and more, actually. The more I get... I use it, the more I see why it's needed, but basically I miss that shortcut. I think that Blender, this is controversial, I guess, like, hey, you work in the UI team, why are you not liking some of the changes? Well, I mean, I use Blender as well, and we had many things that we tried and then we changed it back, we tried things and then we changed back. And that's how it should be. We should just try things and then test it. I mean, that happens in every software, in other companies too, but they don't release Blender every day, so their own software every day, so that's why you don't see it. But the people, I know people that were part of beta releases or alpha or whatever of other softwares, like the expensive ones, and they do the same. They try things, then sometimes things are missing and they complain and then they add it back. And that's development. So that said, I think the Alt-A to deselect makes a lot of sense, because you use H to hide, Alt-H to unhide. You use a I don't know. There is many more cases where you use Alt to do the opposite of what you're doing. But with that said, I think Blender was actually very smart in reusing the same shortcut for the action for a toggle. The problem is that you wouldn't always know if you were active selecting it or not, or deselecting it. You wouldn't know which one was your state. Like you wouldn't go like, okay, I'm gonna select. No, first it always took 2 clicks. So I think it would be nice to reconsider that change and yeah, and put it a bit more in practice and try again to bring back. And also another point why I think it's important, it's because with the current keymap editor, it's not easy to bring that back. You have to do a few clicks and change some things. So it's not fair to take away a perfectly working solution and then not provide the way to bring that back, right? So it's not fair. So until we don't have a new one, a better keymap editor that allows the kind of things, for example, we should reconsider those things. That said, speaking of shortcuts, by the way, today I added a shortcut for quickly changing the exclude state of the collection. So you can press E to exclude, and of course Alt E to not include, to basically to include those selected collections. So that way you can more easily now make view layers. So you can go to another view layer, select tag, or select all of this, and then press E to deselect. To include. So that's one shortcut that we were discussing, and it makes sense. I know this is a minimal keymap, so we should not be adding keys for like everything, but the option currently is a bit hidden, is a bit nested under the exclusion. So it would be nice to have it here as a column, but that would mean adding another column. So that will be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. And with that in mind, maybe it's just better to be able to control how many columns do we have in a way. There should be better ways of dealing with that. Maybe right click area or right click restrict columns, and you could choose which columns to show. Maybe that's a good idea. Anyway, next. Maybe it would be cool when it first launched, the Blender gave the new user an option to choose between flatted light, dark, other in the splash screen. Yeah, I think that would be one of the first things to, like, you open Blender for the first time and then you choose, okay, do you use a pen? Yes. So wanna right click or left click select? Probably 99% of the people will click left click and will even wonder why, but we should educate people that right click select is a good option and it's good for your hands and for your brain. What do you think about adding Loft tool to Blender? What is Loft tool? I don't know the tool, sorry. When will the default Madcaps be chosen? This week, ideally. That will be the plan. That's the plan. That for the beta or the alpha 2, there will be a default set of workspaces, Madcaps, and I have to make a call for the HDRI, the default HDRI, which I think for the time being I will just take some of the Blender Cloud, but I have to decide which ones. We have to decide. We should make a call for that. But all of these calls for action for content, for providing content, they end up being very big and hard to maintain because there's like hundreds of posts, and sometimes people start asking feature requests in the middle of or making proposals like, there's a workspace for the sequencer, and then somebody says like, no, but the sequencer should be better. And yes, we know that, but we're trying to work with what we have. So sometimes those discussions derail the thread, and then you have to go through hundreds of stuff. Anyway, next, Sean Deep asks, will Cycle's wireframe node get an improvement to render quads and not just triangles? I don't know of anybody working on that, but you should get that. That shouldn't be too hard for a developer to get into Cycle's development. it's nice to push people to do stuff, to learn the code. There is now the Blender, the dev talk forum where you can actually ask like the most hardcore like stuff, where you can actually get the developers to give you a you know, actual pointers to where you get the idea, pointers to where to touch Blender and change stuff. Could there be a better closed dialog in Blender? Yes, there will be. Like the one that Blender has right now, this one, it's currently only on Linux, but the idea is that an improved version of this will be, nice glitch, it goes back, will be implemented for all the other platforms like Mac and Windows. But there is already a thread about the quit dialog is here. It's a quit dialog. Maybe if the search is not too slow, I can get it. Quit confirm dialog. It's a diff by Brecht. Anyway, the change basically is that it will depend on the platform that you have, how it looks, because the Windows like guidelines have a specific way of handling the buttons. I think the save is on the other side, or the cancel is next to the save and then discard. Like there is a bit of a change there. So for Windows it will be different, following the Microsoft guidelines, and for Mac and Linux they are pretty much the same because they follow the same guidelines. And they won't have these ugly icons anymore, and they will be a bit more simpler and nicer looking. That's the change. I can't find the thread actually, but it's here. It's about the quit dialog, and it's by Brecht. So Anuarak, will we see more friendly way of working with background images? Yes, that would be what I just said, the empty image, so that you choose, and you can. Yes, I keep expanding this, but because I'm using the window with a 1.4, so it doesn't fit. Some people comment is like, hey, you see, single column doesn't work because you're always making it bigger. Yeah, because the window was smaller, and then I increased the size of the screen, so of the interface, so it doesn't fit. Next, visibility test. Is there any way to view measurements in millimeters? And also, I find that the mirror modifier is only visible in object mode and not in edit mode. Am I doing something wrong? No, you're not doing anything wrong. The mirror modifier and the subsurf modifier and all the modifiers are currently not visible in edit mode, only in object mode. This is something that is being worked on, and it will be implemented as soon as possible. It's something that everybody's asking for. The guys, the team working on Spring at the Blender studio, like next to the developer that is working on this edit mode modifiers, they're like, we are aware of that, and it's being worked on all day basically. What else? Together with crashes and other things, so that's why it gets delayed, and it's also not very trivial to do. It takes some work. Is there any way to view measurements in millimeters? Well, you can change the units. Yes, you can make it be the units be in millimeters if you just change the scale. So if you make it 10.01.001, you can't force it, but it depends on the size. You will see millimeters, but that said, there will be there is a lot of people are asking for it. In right click select is one of the most read voted topics, is that the units should be constant, should be always, if you choose millimeters, always millimeters. If you have 100 meters, then that will be gazillion millimeters, right? So that kind of like should always stay constant, and that should be an option, and it's been agreed already by the developers. It just needs to be implemented, but yes, it's known and it will be implemented, but it's not a priority right now because 2.8 has bigger issues at the moment. Stowghost says, will we get more performance when modeling in edit mode? Yes, there will be. There has been no optimization done so far. Will there be deselect by clicking on blank space in 3D view time anytime soon? No. We need much more modifiers and updates, please. We have many modifiers. We don't need more modifiers. We need to sort them properly without an arrow. We need to drag and drop. We need to have them as nodes so you can connect them in any way. And of course, later we need more modifiers, but I would rather have like node modifiers first. Will the parent-child windows be developed further so the child windows could stay on top and also be linked to the parent window? Yes, actually there is some discussion going on that, but I don't have any official news regarding that. So what Kijion is saying is this new concept of a new main window and a new window. So basically this window is a child of the main window, so I can make this any kind of window that I want, and if I change to another workspace that, for example, this one has a compositor and this one has the dope sheet, I can go back to general and they are part of the same workspace, but they're a different window. And this window, as you can see, it doesn't have a top bar, it doesn't have a status bar, so it's its own little thing, and you can have it here and then you can toggle. And bonus point, if you're using Linux, you get all these always on top things almost for free. I mean, it's part of the window manager, but yes, I know, I understand you have to use Mac or Windows for work, so it's not always an option, but that would be worked on. But it's not a priority like right now. Priority is to fix all the crashes and all of that. So in the meantime, switch to Linux. We have cookies. Come to the dark side. Will Flip Fluids or Manta will it be integrated to Blender? Yes, Manta Flow, it is integrated to Blender, and is it's not yet, of course, like officially, but it's being worked on by the awesome Sebas and Juanja Rodriguez, Bone Studio, submitted a build that everybody can download, and it's very recent, it's from 10 days ago. And it contains the latest Manta Flow for Windows. So yes, you should get it. It's freaking awesome, and it's here, graphical, for everybody to download. Graphical.org. There's already 300 downloads, and it was a week ago that it was added. 300 downloads. Wow, 90 megabytes. Imagine the bandwidth. No advertisement. I don't know how this website is run. Anyway, continue. What is the progress of everything nodes in Blender? We still have Jack's Look still not here, but he's gonna work when he comes over. But there has been no dates yet. But as soon as we know anything, we're gonna share it, of course. Just the planning has to be. It's summer. Nothing happens during summer. There is like things get slow. You know, the weather has to become more crappy in order to to be productive again. Is the undo behavior changed by design, or is it a bug? I mean the separate undo for object, mode, etc. That you can change the user preferences and change the global undo in editing. Here, you can disable it. So yeah, this is what it changed in 2.8. Next. Are there any coding tutorials for Blender that teaches more than the official documentation? Coding tutorials. There is a scripting for artists, but it's more about using scripts for making art. So if you go to cloud.blender.org and then you search for scripting for artists, here you will find a very nice Dr. Sivran that made this awesome script. He even at the Blender conference last year, he made a workshop around this So you should first watch this training on the Blender Cloud, and at the end you should watch the continue, like the next part in the Blender conference that is uploaded to the Blender channel, which is on youtube.com/Blender Foundation. And there is a playlist for Blender conference, and here you will find the scripting for artists, among other awesome talks. Oh, I'm very dark. It's the light is over, so oh, I have 10 minutes. All right, let's see. Next, will the ability to choose the tools be back for the transform tools? The ability to choose the tools be back for the transform tools. This is the transform tools. Oh wait, you can. Okay, I am not up to date with this change. I will investigate. But the transform used to have the thing to change them. This is how fast development happens. I didn't check Blender on the weekend and boom. Anyway, I will get back to you with that, regarding that, because it would be a step back. Oh yeah, that's something that would be might be happening soon, is to decouple the gizmos as tools. Basically in Blender 2.79 these gizmos could be enabled and disabled all the time, but they were independent regardless of whatever you were doing. So that might come back because it means that you can use the combination with other tools. That's the short story. I think it will be useful to add in mesh menu single vertex option. Yeah, or just an empty mesh, I think. Can you please make a video listing all the must-know changes in Blender 2.8? I am actually working on that. I'm working especially on one that only tackles the UI, the user interface, all the changes. But I'm also working on the release logs of Blender 2.8. It's an ongoing project that is going to take until the end of the year when 2.8 comes out for it to be finished. Kiko asks, will come vertical icons in properties panels? Yes, eventually, but yeah, they will become for the final release. They will be there because they don't fit at the moment, right now. The design is agreed on. We just need a developer to work on it. Many things are decided on, but they just need a developer to work on it. So we need more developers, people. Please, all you guys that make add-ons, go and switch and make something for Blender itself. Not everything is add-ons. Okay, next. Any chance that Udym or Cryptomate will be merged soon in 2.8? Well, actually, to your the code is actually there. The node is not there, but the Cryptomate it's just missing the passes for cycles, if I'm not wrong. So if I go to the compositor and then Cryptomate, there you go. The node is there. So yes, this is Blender 2.8 like alpha, the one that you can download, and it's here. The thing that is missing and why I didn't make a video yet for the Blender developers channel is are the passes, basically. So when you have the passes on your view layer, it doesn't have yet the ones that would actually take advantage of this. So yeah, it's been added step by step, but you can see it is right here. It's coming. And Udym, of course, Udym too. Actually, there have been a few commits about Udym lately by the one and only Lucas Stockner. So Udym, yeah, there you go. Lucas Stockner, when was it? Wednesday, July 4, okay, maybe something a bit more new. Udym changes, Monday, here. You see, it's being worked on. Udym. And this, for example, Monday. Mondays are quite productive, it seems. Anyway, so yes, it's being worked on. Will be possible to do manual retopology? Yes, as always. Everything that was possible in 2.7, it should be possible in 2.8. Fran says, hey Pablo, for this beta, are we gonna have render layer overrides per layer and mask layers? Yes. The mask, somebody was asking when I was doing the Hold My Beer, but which I didn't have time to plan a Hold My Beer, but the masks that are possible in Blender 2.7 are going to come back in 2.8 in the shape of overrides, like dynamic overrides. The ones that are still being worked on and will be part of Blender 2.8, but they're not there yet. But yes, don't worry, they will come back, and it will be even more powerful because you can override stuff. You can not just set it as material override, but it can be anything override, which is awesome. Any performance news for handling higher mesh in sculpting mode? Not for the time being. If I remember correctly, in one of your streams, you said that developers use Windows. Why is that? I don't remember. No, no. It's a mix. It's a mix, really. Like in the studio, everybody is using Windows. I think Breck has a Mac, like a little MacBook for. Yeah, I don't know if it develops mainly there, but the main station at work is Linux, and there's one Windows machine. Two Windows machines. One is for the Pillbot and one is for actually testing things on Windows. And no, there are many developers like Joshua Long, Allegorith, he uses Windows, for example. Antonio Vasquez, the developer of Grease Pencil, which, by the way, since I'm about to leave, why not leave with some class and show something that was added these days to Grease Pencil. So you can now in Grease Pencil, can I select paint? Yes, you can. Oh, I'm writing annotations. I don't want annotations. I want a new Grease Pencil object that I can actually paint. And the new thing, the new kid on the block is the modifier that will make life so much simpler, because it's a mirror modifier. Yes, so you can actually paint and do stuff on one side and we'll do it on the other side, so you can do even in different axes, so X and Z and Y. So bam, 3D mandalas now coming to your Blender wall, hashtag V3D soon. Anyway, wow, yes. Okay, I'm the worst demoer on earth, but basically, anyway, this is just too awesome. Come on guys, publish, make it, put it on as part of Blender 2.8. There are even nice, cute little icons now here, and there's so many things. It's just getting so good. When this is in, it will be like the most polished thing ever. Anyway, more questions. I have 5 minutes left. When is the optimization stage starting? In beta. It's more like beta and after the beta, closer between the beta and the release candidate. Hi, I love your videos. Thank you anyway. Can you please tell if Blender uses the full capacity of Threadripper 32 cores and SLE card compounds? All the cores in your CPU, yes, it will use it. Actually, we have a Threadripper in the studio and it's behaving pretty well. And so it's using pretty well, especially Cycles, it scales up really well. But SLI graphics card, not for Eevee, it doesn't support it at the moment. But I'm not sure about, when you Cycles does, when you select multiple sources, you can choose in Blender 2.8 and in Master, you can choose which GPUs and CPU even you want to use. So that's how it makes it. Wow, I like your Blender styled. That's the default thing probably. What else? Is this the final version of the one column properties? I think the one column design on Node is superior in pretty much every way. You can make them thinner without making a mess. So the single column is this basically, and it's better in a way than this kind of layout. Well, I think they're just different, right? Because here you actually have panels and sub-panels, and this is always sliders most of the times. You have a few, you don't have too many, like, let's see, the diffuse shader has a roughness, it's the same, it's a value slider. Here, value slider, I'm trying to find something that is not a value slider. This is a number slider. So yeah, you kind of have to also try to fit, if you want big numbers, you have to try to squeeze it in here. So you can't make it too slow, too small anyway. So it's not so different than having a single column layout like here. Also, to read the values, it can get a bit confusing if you have different value size, because they're not always, they're aligned to the right and then the text is aligned to the left. So there is always this gap. So I think there is a mix that you can do things. This is far from perfect, especially when you have checkboxes. Is weird. But for example, this is a single column layout looking like the ones in the notes, similar in a way. But yeah, we still have to see how this could work. If we should, maybe the decorators should go on the left, like this, maybe all these guys should go on the left, maybe, who knows. We have to see, because then there will be a gap. I think nothing is perfect. Like, I don't like the way, I think somebody was sharing Cinema 4D, Cinema 4D. You see, I don't have it on my search. That it shows that I never search these kind of things. But I think they have like a gap that with dots or something like that. That's terrible. Like here, like there is the name and then dots and then the name of the tool. I think that's far from ideal, because okay, what kind of UI is? So this is the text aligned to the left. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of like here, like for example, these are radio buttons or they are toggles, because then there is the gap. And I don't know. I think all the UIs you can discuss, you can have like discussions of why it's useful, why it's not. Like this text, like we have now on our own tabs, I think it could be better. We're also guilty of that. We have the text vertical here, it's weird. Anyway, let's move on. It's actually almost time, so let me answer 5 more questions. Will the outliner have more filters like invisible or invisible objects, missing linked objects, etc.? Not for the time being, not that I know, no. But maybe that's a task for something else. Or maybe filter is the way to go. But yes, it would be nice to have filtering, but I think there should be a smarter way. Otherwise, you end up with all the options in the world. But yes. Will dynamic context menu be returning? But I mean, it's not didn't left. Dynamic. Like this, menu context, W, the specials menu. I'm not sure I follow. Could be the pie menu be made to be sensitive of what is over and be able to bypass modes. For example, pie menu over a mesh. In object mode, directly select face. Oh, no. Because over a mesh, no, that would be terrible for like using a pen. And then you accidentally have the mouse over another object, and then you have to know where to put your mouse before pressing the key, which is something that Blender does now, by the way. I mean, if you press tab in the image editor and tab in the somewhere else, or in the, I think the sequencer has tab. So if you have something here and you press Ctrl G to make a meta strip, tab here is one thing and tab here is another thing. So you already have to do that kind of things, but at least it's on an editor level. Imagine if it was on an object type level, that would be crazy. why Andrew Price suggestions were not considered. I think he made a point. I already talked about this. Blender UI, Andrew Price. I already mentioned this many times, but the video that Andrew Price made about the UI, there is a conference talk where he, like himself, he goes through the things that were commented out on the video, and then he went and based on also on a survey that was made, and it changed basically the predictive menus no, the tab overkill no, and it went through it already. So this is long gone, this topic already. I think the UI is going in a good direction, and there are many ideas that were in there, like tabs, that are now part of Blender. But that, the tab concept comes from browsers or even before, a long time ago. Like even the Windows settings for Windows 95 have tabs, like tab interface. So yeah. Eevee is really slow at building materials, and I really miss the 2.7 material snappy feel. Is there any way of getting something like that back? Yeah, fortunately getting a better graphics card, or just working in the Workbench engine or the OpenGL, the preview, the solid mode. So basically the solid mode is going to be as fast as a 2.7 or even faster, especially if you have newer hardware. But the snappiness, no, I'm afraid that on older hardware it will be lost. But that also happened in 2.5. I remember 2.4 being much faster, OpenGL, because it didn't have all the complexity, right? And then you had to use a newer hardware for 2.5. And now it's happening the same with 2.8, but it's a way of progressing forward. Okay, I will be, okay, three more, these three questions that are here. The polybuild tool doesn't update the vertex highlighting. Please fix, doesn't update the vertex highlighting. Yeah, the tool system needs a whole different level of fixing. Tool by tool, they need fixes and they need widgets. Okay, can we make retopology in 2.8? Yes, you can, but I think you have to, well, yeah, you should be possible. Should be possible. I don't see why not. Maybe some tools are not working, some active tools, but I haven't tried it myself. But it should be. Just let's wait for the beta where everybody can report bugs. If the workflow, as somebody was asking today, if the bug reports should be posted, like actual bugs reports, yes, they should go to developer.blender.org when the bug tracker is open. For the time being, only crashes are being accepted, but workflow defined stuff is better that it goes in the dev talk forum. User feedback, and this is a better place for it. All right, I will have to go because it's already 10 past 10 and I have another live stream to do in 1 hour in Spanish, discussing around the same, maybe not doing the same the same naive thing of trying to run hair on my laptop while doing a live stream and when trying to use cycles and everything. So I will see you again. If you want to see how the hair looks, just go to youtube.com/Blender Developers and watch the hair shader video. That's where I show it on a decent computer, or at least one that is not live streaming here. And also I'm using a dedicated GPU for this. In my laptop I only have one GPU, well, I have an Intel and the other GPU, but basically now I'm using always the dedicated GPU. And geez, the lighting is really bad on me because it's so dark. Summer is going away, and so am I. My English is broken. I have to leave while I can still do it. But I won't go before going with class and with the Gille style class from Street Fighter. Everybody that's asking what this music is about, that's where it's from. I will see you again at the same time. but in the next week on a Monday, again, hopefully closer to the beta, but remember, might not be a beta, but Blender keeps improving every day. Go download it, try it yourself. If you want to continue this development, you can always join the development fund. I'm not going to show a screenshot or anything, but you can do it. And there are new things coming in that regard. Before SIGGRAPH, the idea is to give the development fund a bit of a bump. So there will be news coming in there and will be even more awesome to contribute to Blender. So I will see you. There's some weird sounds outside. I think the world wants me to stop this video. I will go again. So please, if you're wearing headphones and I didn't kill you with this shouting, then I will with this music. I hope I am. Usually people say like, hey, he warns you, but then he doesn't put anything. Ciao.